the bedroom, right? Oh, sorry.
Be very, very quiet.
A bag. What do you guys?
Yeah,
What's
very,
your
very
contract look
cocaine,
like?
but fentanyl. It's Pennsylvania. You gotta get the right stuff.
Oh,
Folks,
what's that
welcome to
contract
Talking
look
Grit.
like?
I am Eric Tenkar. With me is Old Man Grognard, Glen Halstrom.
It's a triple D invasion.
Yes, we are in the Poconos. We had some technical issues, so that's why we're doubling up. Don't worry about it. Next to me is Jim Kitchen, and below all of us, holding up the show. No, actually, it was me holding up the show.
Well, he's below us anyways.
Yeah, Atlas,
Yeah.
Bad Mike Battleato.
Yes. I guess answers the question. I guess Glenn made it to New York okay,
Yes,
and it actually made it to the Poconos. I'm jealous. I have always wanted to go to the Poconos, and now Glenn is there.
he beat you to it, man.
Yeah, he did. He did. I wanted to follow in the steps of all the great comedians that worked the Poconos back in the day, and all the famous clubs they worked back then, and just all I've always been. Glenn and I have both been fascinated by that for a long. Glenn and I talked about that. We were very fascinated by that whole Poconos, upstate New York. I mean, all those little places that the comedians would appear in.
Oh yeah, we got.
Yeah.
I got nothing.
All right. Well, while you two were hobnobbing at Game Hole, Glenn was out in Long Island running games.
Yeah, put in my due diligence so I can enjoy this trip.
So
Good deal.
He had to pay his way by running games. So oh, okay.
Yeah, it was very good too.
Session.
No, but he was there Saturday for them.
Who now? Whose house were you at, or who was having the games? Or who was hosting? Oh, okay. All right.
From Long Island.
And so he just said, "Hey, come on up, run some games," and you just jumped on the plane and
More
said, "Sure."
or less, it's me. Just this whole trip is a result of me opening my big mouth. So not even realizing it. And I didn't expect you to say yes.
We never underestimate your better half.
Ever.
Yeah,
Ever.
it's going to get you into trouble if you do. But on Saturday, Glenn ran 2 sessions. He ran Hyperborea and he ran Ghostbusters.
And a fun time was had.
It was a great time.
No gangbusters, but
no, it was Friday. I didn't get gangbusters. I wasn't going to be. It's a commute to get out to where Glenn was.
You got Hyperborea and Ghostbusters.
Yeah, I got 2 out of 3.
I would pay to be in a crossover con game of just that. Hyperborea and Ghostbusters. That would be spectacular.
Well, I remember 2 things from that game. The Ghostbusters franchise in Yonkers has their Ectomobile is an old bread truck because their headquarters is in an abandoned bakery.
Nice.
And one point they had to get to Mount Olympus. One of the gods opened a portal, and they just hopped in the bread truck and drove to Olympus.
Yeah, well, I brought my baseball back because I
brought it just in case. And the climax, the gal that was fighting them, they had to break her necklace, and it's like she trashed his proton pad. So she got close enough, he just went wham.
Always be prepared, man. You always had a backup weapon. You always need to have that pocket gun. Well, it was my baseball bat, and I was like, hey, I got it. But we had a great time. And then on Sunday, Glenn went to Comic-Con.
Oh yeah, New York Comic-Con.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, Jason about killed me.
How much money did you spend, Glenn? Hopefully
about 100. About 100, and it's all for Gage. That's all for Gage.
Wow, what a nice grandpa. Jeez, I'm not that nice.
I mean, one of them I had to mail because I couldn't fit it in the luggage. It's a big box, and I don't know what's in it either because it was a grab bag.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, and it said Demon Slayers. Yep, that's Gage. Give me that.
So Rach and I picked Glenn up on Monday. Yesterday we went into Manhattan, hit the complete because it's like that D&D pilgrimage. You got to hit the complete at least once in your lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
And my verdict, it's okay.
It was better when you had the Judges Guild stuff at like foot level when I was younger.
And I didn't know they, just like my old game store, they don't do indie stuff. So
yeah, you don't
old school indie stuff.
Yeah, you don't find much of the OSR stuff there.
Because they got tons and tons.
Because Meinhardt cleaned them out.
Well, all right.
I mean, he did. He literally walked into Complete Strat and spent 8 hours pulling everything out of the store.
Who?
Bill Meinhardt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like Bill literally looted the Complete Strat to the core.
That deep of pockets?
Yes, he's got that.
Oh yes.
Yeah. He made them.
Why
he said, "Give me a good deal. The better deal you give me, the more I'll buy." So he literally bought like just a ridiculous amount of stuff.
Hey,
and
Mike,
the worst part is all of it was good stuff that they just discounted to him.
Wow.
So yes, that's why you can't find a lot of great stuff at the Complete Strat anymore, is because Bill cleaned them out.
Well, and that's listen. When I was in my 20s, I didn't appreciate the Judges Guild stuff, and now that I'm in my 50s, I would have been buying it all, but it would have been so dog-eared at this point because it was literally at foot level. And when you walked by, you were always brushing up against it. So unless you dug deep in that pile, you were going to get something that was very dog-eared. I wasn't
looking for anything real deep into the.
Well, it wasn't any. Yeah,
I wasn't looking for. I was looking. He was saying they didn't have any castles and crusades, and I thought that was weird.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah.
No. Do you need some?
They got they got a lot of. They have a lot of Goodman game stuff. Joe does a great job.
I have the fourth or fifth printing, the flip book.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't know there was an 8th printing that changed stuff. Like all of a sudden they got double the levels. And it's like, but I want another flip book.
No,
they're not listening. They're not listening to me.
No flip book for you.
Sorry, man.
I want to spend twice. I want the flip book. God damn it. Ooh.
So, well, cursing the show, man. Don't worry about
you cursing the show.
Can I interest you in some game hole recaps from two people that were there the whole time, 2 people that were at the auction, and 2 people that got to hear up close and personal the city's attempt to boot, believe it or not, try to boot Alex Kamer out of the city, which was I was just reading his latest update, and it seems to me that crisis has been averted, but I guess we'll wait and see this week. But that was a huge topic of conversation.
Explain later on.
So this was their 11th year. They've been at the Alliance Center which is the big convention center in Maryland. So they've been there for 9 years. Before that, they were real small. They were at the Sheraton, which is actually where Jim and I stayed, the Sheraton. So they, and he's had a very amiable relationship with both the city council and the convention committee and just the whole city as a whole. Obviously, he's a successful lawyer, has a business there, supports the city. He has not signed a contract though for the next. He hasn't signed his next contract. This is just stuff he's already posted on Facebook. They approached him. Oh, go ahead, Jim. Go ahead.
No, but you need to also understand that when he first went to the AEC, Alliant Energy Center, the first thing he said was, "Tell me what features you offer. Like, tell me what it is that I could pay for, and what I would get for that." And they gave him the a la carte menu, and he was like, "Yep. I'll take it all. I don't want any other headaches. I want free parking for all of my visitors. I want all the craft services. I want the shitty hot dog stand to be open. I want it all." And that's what they did. And so Alex has had a automatically renewing contract with the AEC that includes all these features. But a couple of months ago, the person that he normally had been dealing with stepped away from the job, and they got a new guy.
Oh boy.
And the new guy decided, hey, I want to look like a rock star. And the easiest way I can look like a rock star is generate revenue. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to stick it to all those people that have been my loyal customers.
Typical
And that includes
Hollywood
Game Hall.
BS.
So he went to Alex and he said, "Hey, I'm going to lower your rent, but you also have to pay for all these additional features now, including we have to be able to charge for parking." And Alex is like, record needle across the record noise, huh? And so it works that they were going to. It works out that they were going to pay him they were going to charge him an extra 60 or 70 grand plus pick up all the parking revenue. And Alex was like, "Time out."
Yeah. His operating costs. What he told us when we were talking would go up 65%. So 65% more in an economy that's not doing great, and he's pumping literally, this is no lie, right, Jim, millions of dollars into the economy by filling up every freaking hotel there for 4 days.
Yes.
But
the thing is the guy hits Alex with this on Wednesday before the show opens. Like, doesn't talk to him about a week before or the week after. No. He hits him on the most stressful day of anybody who's a showrunner. Yeah. And Alex was not happy. Now, the guy made 2 mistakes. Number one, he tried to bluff a trial lawyer by quoting the law. And if you didn't know, I believe Alex's win-loss ratio is 78 wins, 0 losses. I think that's the figure I've heard.
Damn.
And so he cited the law about parking, which, stunner this, Alex looked the law up and read it. And it is not we have to charge. It is you could charge a maximum of up to $8 a day. But this did not go well. And so now we get to the other interesting part. And don't just knock people with MBAs. I know people with MBAs. This is just a dink. This is somebody being a dink. This doesn't have anything to do with a master's of business administration. This is just somebody who's being a random peckerhead.
Jim, this reminds me of when I used to work in the savings and loan industry. Every 3 to 4 years, somebody would come in, a consultant. And the joke about consultants is they're like pigeons. They come in, they crap all over everything, and they fly off. This is somebody who, hey, I'm going to make my bones here.
It's my new job. I'm going to look like a genius.
I'm going to make my bones by holding this guy up for all kinds of money, and it's going to be awesome.
So let's talk about a big city that's near Madison that might be interested in having a gaming convention, and that would be Milwaukee. And for 20 plus years, Milwaukee has watched what has happened to Gen Con since they poo-pooed them and watched them leave. And anybody at the AEC's management, and I hope somebody sends them this clip, anybody at the AEC management who doesn't think that Milwaukee would be willing to bend over in whatever direction Alex wanted to get the show there is delusional. Now, I cannot stress this enough, dear AEC management types. You really don't understand who you're playing with. You don't understand what's going on. Literally, all of the hotels heard about this on Thursday and immediately began organizing a campaign to talk to our new boy at the AEC. And so I have no skin in the game. I'll go to this show wherever this show is. But the simple fact of the matter is that Alex is not somebody to be trifled with, because Alex knows that this is a show that could be moved, that there are plenty of places in Wisconsin that would be willing to host this show. And dear new guy at AEC, if you haven't figured it out, you don't bring a knife to a gunfight.
Well, as you know, on even a bigger scale, Jim, this just shows you the heft of gaming cons now, which used to be and this is one of the reasons, for what I understand, you've told me, other people told me, why Milwaukee was just like, yeah, go ahead, go move your little gaming con to Indianapolis. And now, of course, it is the largest earner. It earns as much as the Indy 500.
500. Yes.
And it makes more money than the Colts games. I mean, they would rather have that than the Colts games. They make more money. And I'm a little bird whispered in my ear that Milwaukee,
The first 3 weekends in Milwaukee are wide open for a show that might want to relocate. Don't ask me how I know this, but I'm just saying, Sparky, Mr. AEC new guy, you need to figure this part out.
So,
Because
it's just you can no longer treat the nerds have money, and people are starting to realize this. And one of the things that Alex told me that I thought was very interesting was that I had asked him, for years he had to dodge Badger games. So they don't know, Madison is the capital of Wisconsin. The Wisconsin Badgers play their home games there. When that weekend comes, all the hotels fill up with Badgers fans all across the state and whatever. And so for a long time, he was having to dodge Badger games in terms of where he put his convention. I noticed the last 3 years, it's been the second or third week in October, which is great. Beautiful time of year. You don't have any bad weather. The temperatures are great. Everything is just wonderful. And I asked Alex this time, I said, that is so great that you've been able to get these weekends. He said, no. We get these weekends now. The hotels have told us we would rather have your people there than a Badger game. Badger game is one night. One night. True.
Yeah.
The convention is all week long. They basically, the hotels in Madison said, just let us know when you want the con. And that's why the con has been optimal position the last few years, not because of Badger games. I didn't know this. Now until Alex told me. It's because the hotels are telling them, whatever you want.
Does not cease to amaze me. Now, the hotel and service industry, including, arenas, things like that, it never ceases to amaze me that they can't really wrap their heads around hosting, and I'm talking about nationwide.
Sure.
Hosting a game convention when you can pull it on and say, look at all, and they'll just say, oh, well, that's an exception. Gary Con. That's.
It's because it's not a traditional, these are people that have, grown up. Okay, you have lawnmower conventions, you have, you have all kinds of conventions, and they're just still trying to wrap their heads around the fact that gaming conventions can make this much of a difference and pump this much money in the economy and make this much money. And, they're slowly getting there. I know, for instance, the North Texas, the West End is very happy with us. They will pretty much bend over backwards to do anything for us. Now, part of that is because the area we're in, they have a lot of competition for us. We have received, Gary can tell you this, we've had people inquire, hey, would you like to move your convention? We would love to have your convention. So, but it's the area, Dallas-Fort Worth area. There is a lot of area there to expand. Wisconsin's not quite the same because when you're in Madison, you really just have the convention center. That's it. There's really no comparison for something like a convention.
There's a lot of places where you go, I'm going to do a gaming convention. Oh, Comic-Con? No, it's not Comic-Con. Well, never mind then.
No, that's right. You're right, Glenn. And I think this is just another step in proving that the gaming, the whole community, the gaming genre is huge, and people are just starting to realize this is something that can make you a lot of money if you play your cards right. And this guy, it's just so funny because it's just kind of like they didn't realize, I don't think, the pushback. I think a number of things. And this is absolute speculation on my part. Number one, I think they didn't think they would move, or they thought that would well, he's not going to want to move anywhere. Dude, Milwaukee's only an hour away. It's not like this is across the ocean or anything. It's only an hour away. It's not hard. I know Alex has Bucks tickets because he's always taking a picture at the dang half court of the Bucks game and his seated along the sidelines with he and his son. So he goes to Bucks games all the time. It's not like he doesn't know Milwaukee is right there to an hour to the east. I just think that they overplayed their hand here. And like I said, we used to run these guys all the time, the savings loan industry guys that we're going to change your life. We're going to do this thing and it's going to be the most amazing thing ever. And I'm going to go back to my bosses and be a hero and got this account. And it's so awesome. And, I just think this guy was way over his head dealing with Alex. Because Alex, and all of us know Alex, this man does not F around. He is not going to let himself be pushed around something like this.
Don't trifle with a trial lawyer.
No,
like really and truly, various flavors of attorney have various things that they offer. Family law, you're deeply broken if you move into family law. Corporate attorneys love details. But more than anything else, if there's somebody who likes the savagery of man-on-man gladiatorial combat, it's a trial attorney. And if you think this is going to go well, it will not go well.
So,
But,
for reading his page, it looks to me like they're going to stay. I'm just speculating again.
Right,
I read the page. The hints he's dropping seem to say that cooler minds prevailed over the last 3 days. So we're waiting an announcement. But I think they are going to stay. I'm spitballing here because of what I saw today. But I'm sorry, Eric, I didn't interrupt you.
No, I was saying is and I've seen this in other places. It's the greed that you try to hide. It's like, hey, we're going to give you a good deal. We're going to cut your rent, but we're going to nickel and dime you on everything else. Like Alex is stupid. Somehow he's going to go, oh, well, yeah.
What a great deal. This sounds amazing.
That's a great deal. Oh, but,
And look, what? Alex is smart. Alex does everything a la carte, as Jim said, because he doesn't want to deal with the details. He wants the attendees to have a great experience. He doesn't want them to have to stop every morning at the gate and dig around in their pocket and pull out $1 or $5 or whatever. He just wants us to be a smooth experience. Get get out.
Are these problems money could solve? Done. Right. Yep. And that's it. And that's it.
And hotels, and the problem is a lot of these event centers and hotels and restaurants are still chasing COVID money. And by what I say about that is a lot of them lost money during COVID because they were empty for a year. And we've talked about this with the Westin, Gary and I, the Westin a lot. They're very appreciative of us because we actually had an event there during COVID year. We actually told people, look, just show up. We don't want anybody from out of town flying in. But if you have a ticket and want to show up to the hotel is empty. There is nobody in the hotel. And if you want to come and game there, we'd love it. So we know exactly the level of nothingness that was going on in the hotel industry in 2020. And so a lot of companies, unfortunately, and a lot of venues are still chasing that money because they had a big negative zero or minus on 2020, and they're still trying to make that up. Now, by all accounts, most hotels have made that up. I mean, Gary Con is packed full every year. Game Hole is packed full. So I don't know why they're chasing more money, especially in a basically a quasi recession, which we're in. It doesn't make any sense to be chasing that money when they're already. It's like they're already sitting on Scrooge McDuck piles of gold here. I mean, they filled up every hotel in town for 4 days. And Jim can tell you it was packed. There was no parking after 10 a.m. None. There was every
you could park, but you'd be back where usually they keep the livestock.
Which, by the way, I had to park there 2 days in a row where they kept the livestock because I got up too late. So
let's move on. Let's talk about Game Hole in particular and why you ought to go.
Yeah. So just tell them the Westin is off limits, okay?
No, we don't. Gary and I don't have any problem. They love us at the Westin. That is not going to be an issue.
I mean, moving Game Hole, the Westin's off limits.
I think they're not going to move here, Glenn. I just have a feeling that that's not going to happen.
So let's talk about Game Hole. I'll talk about a few things. Number one, more exhibitors. The exhibitor space has grown. There's more vendors. It's good to see all the great people that we normally see. Big shout out to Bob and Pam from Chimera Hobby Shop who were there on Thursday ready to go. Saw a lot of new vendors. Saw a lot of same faces. As usual, Game Hole Con's merchandise there was a booth, but it was picked over pretty heavily by the end of Thursday, unless you were looking for a specific style of t-shirt. And I think they have about a 30-year supply. I think that you have just a ton of gaming at Game Hole. And I think that's one of the biggest things about it is where with other conventions, you might not be able to get a hotel. You might not be able to park on site. You can park on site. And more importantly, you can get into a game. We always, as you come into Game Hole, as you come into the main entrance, to your right is like sort of a carnival row of smaller companies trying to get established. And I didn't recognize one that was there for the second year in a row. It was all new faces, all new stuff going on. I didn't play any games. It's one of those things where I did not have my wits about me to get registered for stuff. Everybody that I talk to always talks about how great the venue is, that you actually have room, that you're not squished up on each other, breathing each other's exhaust, and so on and so forth. we'll get to the auction, but I don't know what else, Mike. What would you add?
I just realized I was going to pimp the sketches. I go to conventions and I rarely find anything I need. I mean, I really don't. I mean, I don't need anything.
I need to get mine.
I'm the same way. Yeah,
this is the extent of my purchases. I won this in the auction for a minimal fee, and I'll buy as many of these as they ever have because this is one of my favorite books of all time. So I bought another one. I probably already have 3 or 4. It was in pristine
character
shape.
sheets, or
Yeah, no, this is the Rogues Gallery. I just love this.
oh yeah, that's a good one.
I'll buy a copy that would ever see it. And then I was gifted by Bill Barsh Islands Apparel, which is their the Holmes campaign adventure book. It was beautiful, and I just realized I didn't buy one at North Texas this year, and of course Bill being Bill just said, here you go, and I was like, no, I want you to PayPal me. Nope, just here you go. So I was very happy to get this, and that's really pretty much all I purchased, except for
Dynamaps.
Except for the Dynamaps. Dynamaps are a modular dungeon, and if when we start talking later in the show, I may switch it off and go look for my Dynamaps. But I was impressed by that product. It's created by Sketch. The Sketch. I call them the Sketches. Let's call them the Sketches. The whole Sketch family. Jim and Haley and his wife and their partner. And it is a modular map system where it's basically like the old flat dungeon rooms and stuff, except they stick to your pad without glue, without magnets or anything, and you can shake them and they won't come off. And I just saw it and I said, that is the coolest thing ever.
Magnetic?
So no, they're not magnetic. They just have their bottom of them is just kind of a material that just kind of sticks. And it's kind of hard to explain without seeing it.
They're dry erasable.
Yep.
So I passed the link to Eric, so we'll put it up in the chat. And so if you're old enough to remember Dragon Magazine 45, where there was a cutout, but there was a map that was included plus a whole pile of cutouts. This is somewhat similar to that, but a much more smartly executed idea. You can put this down. You can immediately sketch out a room for people. If you're playing a game and you don't have access to a grid or whatnot, it's just spectacular. The website is limitingfactorgames.com. So
they have 3 packs right now. They're going to have more. And as I said, I rarely buy anything anymore. I just don't see things I need or want. Yeah. And I saw these and I'm like, give them all. I want all of them. But let me give you the spiel, Mike. Nope, no spiel. Give them all to me because that's the coolest thing I've seen in a long time.
There we go.
What's the price look like?
They were $25 a pack. There was a special at the con. They were at $60 for all 3 packs, but these are infinitely reusable. You can use them forever and ever and ever. And if it's kind of like buying a Dwarven Forge.
What's the chance that you can get them from North Texas? Get them in.
Gary and I are working on that.
Good.
So we worked him over pretty heavily about coming to North Texas.
Yeah.
If you go to the website, they have a classic bundle for $90. Each individual pack is $30, but for the launch and
Jim dropped out.
Yeah, Jim, we lost your audio. Hold on.
Your audio dropped, Jim.
It's not on my end.
Yeah. Well, it's nice to know I'm not the only one that computer hates me.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we're trying to get them dynamic to come to the North Texas. I think they would do really well.
Just tell him Old Man Grognard said he can put his hand in my pocket if he wants there and take however much in there.
But no, so anyway, that was one of the items I saw, and that's one of the cool things about going to cons, right? You go there, so you see a bunch of stuff that you don't normally see. And you get to see all these people. Now, for the first time, I have known Ron Meisker for decades. I finally met him face to face. Ron is the head of Page, Philadelphia Area Gaming, and Eric is going to be a guest there in January this year. And we talked a bunch, and we had a great time. It was nice to finally meet him face to face after knowing him online, for so many years. I'm trying to think who else the usual crowd, obviously Alan Hammock and Zeb Cook and all those guys you see all the time. But yeah, Ron I'd never met face to face for him. I've known him forever. Oh gosh, I'm trying to remember who else I may have seen this con that I have not. Don't usually interface. Oh, I finally got to talk to Ed Greenwood. I've seen Ed Greenwood at probably a dozen conventions, and always just like, oh, there's Ed Greenwood. He's got a crowd around him. I'll bother him later. Well, I saw him looking at T-shirts, and I made my move. I said, he's just looking at T-shirts. The man is wasting his time. So I said, Ed, I'd like to talk to you. Can I get you? And I had a couple of books of his. I had a Forgotten Realms hardcover, a few things. I said, can I get you to sign something? And can I talk to you for 5 minutes? He's like, sure, no problem. Nice.
You can do more than talk for 5 minutes.
But the nicest guy, and so he's signing stuff for me. He's telling me stories about everything he's signing. Oh yeah, I remember this, and I said, I've been playing Forgotten Realms back. I think the 1987 box set is one of the greatest sandboxes ever written. And I ran a long campaign using just that and the 2 or 3 first FR series. For years we ran a campaign in there. And he was a nice guy. I never got a chance to actually just had a one-on-one talk with him. And of course he did say something risque. I'd forgotten about that, Jim. I didn't tell you about that.
Shocked. I'm shocked to hear that.
I
can't believe that Sainted Elminster Horndogus Giganticus might say something.
I can't believe this. I forgot to tell you the story. That when I'm looking at the cover of, he's signing the cover of FR1 Waterdeep. The city.
Let me guess. He talked about the drow. I love the drow's backside. I wonder what kind of milk she has. Jesus.
He said the original cover for this. He goes, oh, the original cover of this. I loved it because in that cover, when Parkinson did it, he forgot to put clothes on her. Oh. And then the editor saw it and said, "Hey, she's got no pants on."
I hope to see him one day.
I'm stunned.
Make a risque remark.
I'm stunned to hear this.
Check that off my bucket list right there. But no, nice man, and he let me drone on about haunted. He did tell me a little interesting tidbit. If you're a Forgotten Realms fan, that there's a module called Haunted Halls of Evening Star. It's kind of his B1 search thing. It's got a beginner dungeon in there. Yep. And it's got a little village, the little village of Evening Star. And it tells you a little bit about it. Here's where this at. And so you can set adventures there. He said, this was originally a 96-page module. They cut down to 36 pages. And they took out everything I wrote about the village of Evening Star. I had it set up. He goes, it was my homage to Village of Hamlet. And he said, I had every person's job there, all the coppers they had hidden beneath their, by their shoes. I'm just like Gary did for Village of Hamlet, because I had it all written down there. And they saw it. They said, yeah, that's not what we're looking for. We just want the dungeon and a little description. And they just redlined the whole thing. And I said, well, do you still have it? He goes, I probably have it somewhere, but I can't publish it because they paid me for that. They own the property. I mean, they own it, and they just never did anything with it. And I wept for what could have been, because I'll say all the jokes we make at Ed's expense. I really enjoy his writing. And I think there's 4 or 5 people in the industry that are truly creative geniuses. I think Gary is one of them. I absolutely think Ed Greenwood is one of them. If you read his stuff, there's so many ideas in there. You're just like, it blows you away, all the ideas this man's had that make it out on the page. It's really, really, really amazing.
I think you really have to search long and hard to find. Oh God, I just accidentally made a joke. Long and hard. I think you do have to look long and hard to find a time where, TSR, when they brought out the Forgotten Realms, the Great Forgotten Realms box set, the original box set, and followed it up with FR1, FR2, FR3, FR4, Hall of Heroes. That first year of Forgotten Realms product, holy crap. I understand why they wanted it. I understand why they wanted to move away from Greyhawk. I mean, I understand all the machinations behind it, but wow, really and truly, you picked up every module because you didn't know what was coming, and it just it peeled back another layer of the onion, and it's why the Forgotten Realms got such a great start. I don't think Dark Sun got the same kind of enthusiasm behind it. Planescape, I mean, you had to be weird and you had to like the word Burke. And if you could get through those 2 hurdles, Planescape was your jam. But it was Forgotten Realms was just perfect. Absolutely perfect. The first couple of years was just amazing.
And Jim, doesn't it, and I mean, this is everybody, doesn't it fill you with with regret that they didn't do that kind of thing with Greyhawk. They just kind of like, yeah, we got Greyhawk and we're going to set all our stuff in Greyhawk. They never sat there and really said, we're going to develop some areas of Greyhawk and really give it some attention. And that's one thing they did with Forgotten Realms. Now, of course, it got into lunacy once they started coming out with all the complete books and all the, and we're going to detail every single country in Terran.
Maztica, like there was just a lot of stuff. But to their credit, for every wonky "what were you smoking" idea, the genius of taking a chunk of the realms and devoting it to Neverwinter Nights Online.
Oh God,
and letting that go. I mean, really and truly, and they weren't afraid to let the stories progress. Right? I can tell you that when I realized that they were setting it up that the King of Cormor was going to die, I was like, wow, like this is a pretty, this was clearly somebody's character who then got high enough that I mean, all the main characters, all the NPCs in the Forgotten Realms, every single named character is either Ed's wife, other people at the table, like all these people were people in Ed's campaign over the years, and they've all become these high-level NPCs, which is great. I love that. I love that you transitioned away from being a PC to an NPC. But gosh, there was just so much. I use this word very rarely. There was so much splendor in the early Forgotten Realms products that it's very easy that jaded 50 and 60-year-old guys are like, Greyhawk. Okay, great. But let's take a look at what was really and truly the best production plan, release plan. Forgotten Realms, that first year or two was just fire. Absolute fire.
Yeah. So when it came out, it was released in 1987.
Yep.
That they've been through a lot of changes. I mean, Gary obviously was booted in 85. And so 86, 87 was this real weird time when you didn't know what was going to happen, because they were basically churning through inventory. They were just putting out stuff that had already been written that wasn't very good. There was a lot of really not very good stuff being put out in that period. And then the whole Forgotten Realms gray box, you picked that up. It was such an amazing set because here was a whole campaign world, and you didn't need anything else. You did not need anything else. There was gods in there. Here's the different classes. Here's some NPCs. They even had 2 or 3 little adventures in there
throughout the whole thing.
Oh, adventure hooks out
Greyhawk, I love Greyhawk, but Greyhawk lacked adventure hooks. Forgotten Realms, it puked out adventure hooks to the point where you're like, I'm overwhelmed. I don't know what to do.
And then you have, here's your country that's like, the Shire. Here's your country that's like a kingdom. Here's your giant mega city. Here's your country of evil mages. So it gave you all that stuff. And I think it ended up suffering from dilution. Just the fact that, once you start doing a supplement on every single one of those countries, it loses a lot of its mystery. But if you want a really good example of a great sandbox, pick up the gray box, as everybody calls it, which is the very first box, not the redo, not the second printing in 91, 92. The first one in 87. It's just a cornucopia of incredible ideas. There's a whole Yeah, there's like a whole page of runes. It tells you there's a whole page of runes. Here's what a bunch of runes do, and so I remember picking that up in 87 when we were kind of like my first campaign had almost run its course. We'd been through all the GDQ modules. The characters were 15th level, and I'm looking for something. I'll set it in this part of Greyhawk, but nothing in Greyhawk's really spoke to me. And then I got Forgotten Realms. I was like, boom, I know what I'm going to do. And so we had a campaign there that lasted from like 87 through, mid 90s, because we just set it there. And Waterdeep was a great setting. The party was based out of Waterdeep. That they eventually ended up going into Undermountain. We had they spent about 2 years in Undermountain, which was awesome. And, it's just, like I said, it's hard to understand nowadays how hard that hit, because of the time it hit in and the fact that Gary was gone. They really needed an identity. They needed something. What are we going to do? And it's to credit to the people who Grubb, is one of the people. Jeff Grubb is one of the people that spearheaded it through. The fact that that he paid enough attention to say, there's this guy, Ed Greenwood, he's been sending in articles since issue 30 of The Dragon, and he keeps talking about this game world he has. And I wonder if he's written a lot. And Ed's like, yeah, have I written a lot? And so he sends Jeff this like steamer truck. Here's everything I've written. And they're like, oh my God. Yeah. So this is what we need. And it was just like I said, so Ed's just one of those seminal figures in our hobby that you just look at and you're like, this guy, if not for him, who knows what would have happened to D&D after 1980? If they just kept trundling along and trying to look, once Gary was gone, it's probably a good idea they just kind of abandoned Greyhawk, except for From the Ashes. Now, I'm one of the few people I know that I really enjoyed From the Ashes, the Carl Sargent treatment of Greyhawk. I liked it. I liked it a lot because it was different. It made the world different.
It was the Dave Hargrave of TSR.
Yeah, but also it gave Greyhawk some depth. It moved pieces around. It gave you a real feeling of a vibrant world, even if it was not the old.
Yeah, it for the first time ever, Greyhawk advanced because remember, Greyhawk was stuck in this year. Here's the year, and then we're not going to do anything beyond that. You choose what you want to do, and it said no. We're going to make things go in its logical conclusion. Here's all these evil countries, and they're right next to these good countries. Wouldn't there eventually be a war? Well, if the history of Europe tells us anything, of course there's going to be a war. Right. There's always a war. And so and like I said, I'm a big fan of Carl Sargent anyway. I loved his earlier stuff he did for Games Workshop, and I thought he had an interesting idea. I know a lot of Greyhawk fans that don't like it because they don't like anything to ever change. Change, bad. But I liked it. But yeah, if Ed had to come along, what he did, and look, TSR ended up probably staying open 10 more years because of Ed, because once the line of books started coming out, from what James Louder has told me before, that kept the company going for many years. That their book division was outselling everything.
So let's talk about something real quick. Like really and truly, one of the things that tied Forgotten Realms together was that's when the novels really kicked into gear. You had Shadowdale, the very first Realms novel, and that helped you get a better idea of Shadowdale. You get the first of the Icewind Dale trilogy. But then Ed actually wrote a book called Spellfire, and Spellfire's a hit and a miss, right? What I love about Spellfire is it starts with this plucky band of adventurers going out on their first adventure and getting slaughtered. Only one survivor, two survivors. But it also poses the be careful of what you wish for, because you just might get it where the hapless rogue suddenly becomes the most powerful person in the entire realms. And oh my God, now we have to hide her and she has to deal with it and so on and so forth. And it was so successful that somehow WotC offered Ed a contract to write a trilogy out of this and get 2 more books. Don't read those 2 books. But just don't. But really and truly, again, you had a book by the guy who had been shepherding people through the realms for more than a decade. 15 years is if what you believe Ed said. And all these characters, Elminster, the Shadow Sill, and so on. I mean, we're way off the course of Gamehole. We ought to talk about the auction here, but
yeah, we will. Oh, definitely we will.
But really and truly, this is again why we say you should go to shows. You should meet the people who wrote the stuff that you loved. This is why you should come to any show that's near you and meet all of these folks.
I want to ask you, Greyhawk.
Darkwalker on Moonshae was not the first. It was actually Shadowdale, because in 1989, I was at the ABA convention in Washington, D.C., and I got all the handouts, and Shadowdale actually shipped before Darkwalker on Moonshae.
Really?
Oh, we can argue if you want to fight.
But yeah.
No. I like the Avatar trilogy, even though I thought the book that came after that was better than the other 3.
Oh, it was just it was a resetting of
it was
Forgotten Realms.
Yeah, it was just a bunch of
Well, it also added to the whole appeal of the Forgotten Realms that things changed every 4 or 5 years. Time by advance, like, oh wait, the gods all died. Oh wait, this guy's a god.
Wild magic.
Well, it was the whole taking it from 1st edition to 2nd edition. Yeah. So that was. You had a question about Greyhawk.
I just correct me if I'm wrong. I thought I saw an article or something like that WotC is trying to put Greyhawk stuff out now.
Oh yeah,
but they don't own the IP.
No, they own the IP.
You sure?
Yeah.
They said I think I read an article that says they own every IP they have except Greyhawk.
No, they own Greyhawk, and
Joe Block posted that, but I think Joe Block meant something different than he said. Actually, that's actually Joe Block had posted that.
It may be they own the IP. They might not own they might not have a registered trade. I think it's the trademark is not registered, but it's still in use. So you don't necessarily have to have it renewed. I think that's what happened with Greyhawk. Has nothing to do with the IP. The IP is owned by the company.
Jim, so we had the Scott Brand Memorial Auction this year. Jim since Rick Mites was in it, we're in there waiting to do the auction. Jim Mites rolls up in a wheelchair. We're like, no, you can't we don't want to have you stand up for 3 hours. He's like, I can do it. Like, no. Jim was the trooper, and Jim did the entire auction with myself and Rick and Bill Meinhardt. And my wife, my beautiful wife, graciously helped out by writing down.
You drafted her.
Yes, I did. I because I'm looking at handwriting, and I know I can't write. And Bill's handwriting, I'm sorry, Bill can do a lot of things great, and he has an amazing collection, but his handwriting is iffy. And so we got my wife to write down the bid numbers, and it was great. And so Jim did the entire auction. We had how many items, Jim?
147, I don't know. It was a crazy amount.
3 hours to do it. We finished. We got them all done in 3 hours. But it was the most we'd ever done for the Great Game Hole auction.
Now, is this a deep pocket auction like over in North Texas?
Well, for that many items, you can't be all deep pocket because the deep pockets only got so many deep pockets. So, like I won this for I don't know $40. I mean, $30, $40. So, there were some things that went cheaper than other items. But yes, there was some big ticket items there. Jim might remember the prices better than I did for some of the ticket items. But there was some good stuff there. And the great thing about the Scott Brand Memorial Auction is the money so when we do North Texas, we charge a commission, and the commission is plowed back into the con because we have to. We're in a small con. All their commission money is plowed into the Scott Brand Memorial Fund, which is awesome. So it basically all goes to a really, really good charity. And
so let's explain who Scott was. Scott was a very large collector, a prolific collector. He and Bill Meinhardt split Brian Bloom's collection. He died tragically a couple of years ago. And so his family, in wrestling with this, decided to put together a charity for mental health for people on the edge. And so you can put items into the Game Hole auction on commission. You can also put items in just as a donation to raise money. A lot of Scott's collection is going to be coming up for the next few years at the Game Hole auction to raise money for this charity. And Scott was a prolific collector of unbelievable things. And so having the auction named after Scott is a very smart move in my book.
He was a nice guy. He was a very nice guy.
He's a very nice guy.
Came to North Texas many times. I never had a bad interaction with the man. He was just nice.
Mike, isn't that the one where his widow asked you to sell his stuff?
No, that's Mike Carey. You're thinking of Mike Carey. Mike Carey. That's his mom too.
And let me apologize. Bones was right. I was wrong. Darkwalker on Moonshade was technically the first one. It came out with the release of the box set. Shadowdale came out later, but was in the second tranche of novels because they weren't sure how it was going to go just yet. So apologies, Bones. I got that mixed up. So the auction has always got some big items. Now, one of the things that you're going to see at most conventions going forward is that there's almost always a convention poster that gets autographed by all the guests in attendance. And we have seen these things creep up in price. Well, North Texas regular attendee Matt Roberts created a poster for Game Hole and sent a batch of them. He sent 2 large ones, and the rest of them were small and sold at the exhibition hall.
Okay.
But one of the large ones was autographed by all the guests in attendance, and it went for what I believe, and Mike can correct me, but I believe it went for an all-time record price, which was $5,000. And that's a lot of bones. And it went to actually a North Texas RPG Con regular attendee. He and his wife were there. Some other big items. We had a Gen Con 14 large poster that went for $4,000. We had a lot of great stuff this year. I can remember a couple of things, but I am too busy trying to sell. I'm trying to auction everything.
There was some surprise items. So there's a truck that comes every day that has, or comes every year, that has drinks, and they had Darlene do a cup. So basically, she did a design on a cup. It's one of those thermoses. It has a handle, beautiful cup, a beautiful drinking cup, and it was lifetime drinks. So if you bought this, you could fill up lifetime at this drink truck
for the rest of your God-given life. You can show up at their truck with this mug and fill it until your arm is exhausted.
Fill it up and then just drink it there. Then fill it up. Then pour it on your shoe. Then fill it up.
Shower in it.
Whatever you want to do. Yeah, shower it. And I believe that went for $2,000. No, $1,200. I think it went for $1,200. Or no, it was $2,000.
More than $2,000. Somebody's posted a terrible link of the auction that's utterly forgettable.
But so that was very unexpected, because it's one of those things you think is going to go for a few $100. I'll go for a few $100, and then it just kept going, and there was two guys, and it's like 100, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then you're at $1,000, then 11, then 12. So it's one of those very unexpected items that pop up every auction. Every auction you have one or two items that you just don't think is going to go for that much. It just ends up blowing up, and that was a cool item. That's the kind of item I would have loved to have had for like maybe $300, but even for a Darlene image cup, I don't know if I'd pay $2,000 for it, but that was really cool. And there was a lot of super modules. That they had one of every super module. I auctioned my shrink wrap GDQ, which had torn shrink wrap. I wouldn't believe it. We went for over $400, right around 400 for something. There was a lot of there wasn't very Dragon magazines. I put in some Dragon magazines because I didn't see any on the list. We had a few Dragon 14, 15, and 16, I believe, from the Alan Hammett collection. I'm just thinking of stuff that I put in. I can remember the stuff I put in. There was some artwork that didn't sell. By the way, which is a warning, not a warning, but just to let people know, if you put stuff in auctions, be very careful about your reserves, because
know your market.
Right.
Know it.
We had only a few items did meet the reserves, but the artwork did not just meet its reserve; it really didn't meet its reserve. So
really,
yeah, it was just not the market was not.
When you have a high bid, and the last bidder standing is 1/10 of the reserve, that's a sign.
You may have overestimated your value. Now,
if it's a Frazetta or a Wayland, those kind of reserves are appropriate.
Absolutely.
But when it's the cover painting for a series of children's novels, fantasy novels that nobody's heard of, and unless you really got a thing for unicorns and pretty princesses, it wasn't gonna fly.
No.
That was a unicorn. It wasn't a Pegasus. It was never going to fly.
Now, the Peppermint Pixie won a beautiful Jim Holloway piece, and that was something else. There was a lot of items from the James Ward collection.
Yes, and they found new homes, which is very good.
Yeah, it's always good because James. I understand there is a lot of stuff still to be auctioned off for James that's going to go to his family. And so there was a few items in there from the James Ward collection. Just interesting stuff. Like they had a bunch of his business cards, like 5 or 6 business cards. I mean, just cool stuff, just kind of interesting things that would be cool to have. But, I don't necessarily think they're worth a lot, but they're just cool. They're just kind of, you put it in a frame.
Let's not forget the plethora of shrink-wrapped Buck Rogers modules for those of you trying to complete your collections.
No, please don't.
Well, that was only overtaken, Jim, by the plethora of Marvel superhero shrink wrap modules.
Apparently, better love.
Well, apparently some are worth money. A couple of them got high bids, so apparently some of those are actually maybe harder to find than others. Because I think one of the lots went for about $300-400. So But yeah, there was a few duds in there. There was some duds where you're like,
I don't
okay,
say duds.
all right.
I would say there were some surprises in the collectibles auction.
Well, I mean,
That's a good way to put it.
Marvel Superheroes has a huge following.
Yes, it
People still love the face-up system, but I never hear anybody talk fondly of TSR's Buck Rogers.
Yeah.
Well, it was that was a Flint Dill, or not Flint Dill, it was a Lorraine Williams Dilly family estate money grab.
But you have to understand how it worked, right? So Lorraine Williams was the daughter of the guy who in court claimed to own Buck Rogers. He owned Buck Rogers. He was not the inventor of Buck Rogers.
Right. Just for the
And he created what's called the Dill Family Trust. And so Flint Dill is Lorraine Williams's brother. And so when Lorraine Williams stepped in and took over TSR, one of the first things she did is she was like, we're going to make the Buck Rogers role-playing game, and we're going to sell a lot of it. And by the way, we're going to do board games, and we're going to do all the rest of it. Because for every single Buck Rogers product, TSR had to kick back a royalty to the Dill Family Trust, which just made Lorraine and Flint all the wealthier. So all the fiscal mismanagement of TSR can go back to the fact that Lorraine was absolutely harvesting cash out of TSR with every Buck Rogers product. And if you think that any of the game designers wanted to be making the Buck Rogers role-playing game, I think we can all safely say that's not the case. But when Lorraine Williams says, I made $40 million on TSR, well, she ain't just talking chump change, because the Buck Rogers stuff literally just harvested money. And it didn't, and the royalty agreement was not based on sales and what was left after returns through the book trade. No. They had to pay the royalties as soon as they printed the product. So the Dill Family Trust was making money hand over fist before the product ever reached the end sales market.
And by the way, Jim, don't forget there was also 2 gold box versions of the Buck Rogers computer game, which actually weren't bad. I played them back in the day. So
yeah,
they were making money off
version
computer.
Of it. Yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah, the SSI game. They were making money off
the
SSI.
less said of Buck Rogers in the 25th century, the better.
But come on, man.
So it was a good auction. We had a great auction. We saw a lot of people, saw a lot of action, raised a lot of money for a good charity. Now we're in sort of the break between now and GaryCon, which is great. I don't know of a show coming up in the next couple of months that's going to have the same kind of pull. But it was a great show. Really, Gamehole's a very well run show. Alex had a vision. He executed on it. It's true to what most people would want from a convention, and shenanigans behind the scenes with our new guy at the AEC aside. This show was flawless this year. There weren't problems. There were only solutions. It was, parking isn't a problem. Somebody keeps mentioning the food trucks. Let's talk about that. I can't tell you what it was like to be in Milwaukee or in Indianapolis before food trucks, because literally you were trapped with whatever god-awful food the local venue had for sale. And food trucks have changed this so much. Alex actually does a guarantee, like all places, he does a guarantee with the food trucks. You'll do this much money every day. They had a pile of food trucks outside. There was never a shortage of a line. They were there for 8+ hours, and they were all just cranking for all 4 days.
Oh my God. They did so well. And, I can speak for North Texas. Gary can also. The food trucks are a game changer, because we're stuck in the same situation where there's no nearby restaurants. And I know I don't count the Denny's. The Denny's, it's a bad Denny's. If you can imagine a bad Denny's, it's not even a good Denny's across the street. But with the food trucks there, it gives people an option. And Gary and I have been really lucky to have some good food trucks. And we only have, we have like 2. They had, what'd you say, about 10, Jim, about 10, 12. They had a pretty good amount, and with a good variety. Oh, Jim.
I'm glad they got that. Jason Saturno is funny because he looks forward to Denny's every year.
That Denny's, it's a bad Denny's, though. It's not even a good.
I don't get it.
Anyway, so we so the food truck is, and I tell you what, Madison is a great city to eat out at. There is tons of good restaurants. So they all are very close. They're easy to get to. It's just it's a really nice city. It's a college town. It's the capital, but it's not big. It's not a big city.
Right.
It's set up very well. And you know what, Bob G's right. Page 2 will happen in January, and I think Ron's already sold about 700 tickets. That they'll have over 1,000 again this year. And they have a great guest list. It looks like at Page 2. I talked to Ron a bit about that. So that's probably the next big con. They'll have an auction there. I don't know what's going to be in their auction. But Page is set up to starting to be a really good big convention, and luckily it's at a time of year where there's not a lot of conventions, which is January. So they should have that field all to themselves, and it'll be interesting to see where Ron goes with that.
By the way, Ty Beard says he likes that Denny's.
Well, that you should not trust Ty.
Oh, but he's a lawyer. I forgot.
Ty would have not liked one single place we went to dinner, because I'm going to read them off to you. Ty, if you want to thumbs up any of these, just let me know. The first night we went to an Indian restaurant. That's a no with Ty. The second night we went to a ramen place. He would have hated that ramen place. The third night we went to the German place. He might have liked the German place because there was meat there, and I know he likes meat. So he may have been okay with the German place.
You got to not serve me these softballs, man. You got to quit throwing them up in the air, because I'm going to swing the hit.
And then the last night we went to a dim sum place, and Ty would have been out at dim sum, unless it's steak burned to shoe leather. Ty is pretty much going to be out on most foods. So I'm sorry. He's a man of simple taste. If you could bring Ty to the best Indian place in town or Waffle House, I'm going to give you an idea of where he's going to go. It's not going to be the more tasty of the duo.
But depending on my mood, Waffle House could win out.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, 3 a.m. after you've been to a heavy metal show.
That's a definite.
Beer, and maybe you want to see a fist fight because you need the floor. There's always a floor show at Waffle House. Sure, Waffle House is a great choice. Then
Well, next June, I'm hoping that Eric and I will get together and tell Jason, no, we're not going to Duff's.
Duff's Wings, yes. And it's an upstate New York chain. But there's one in Dallas.
There is. Okay. Well, I have not seen this. Interesting.
It's good wings, by the way.
Yeah, it's good wings.
It's really good.
Like 3 times we went there.
I'm still trying to understand what the argument is against a good Indian restaurant.
You do? I don't know.
Jim, do they make a steak there that you can burn to a crisp? If not, then Ty's out.
There's no beef.
I'm just
saying. Indian restaurant is beef less.
Yes.
So you will not find beef at an Indian restaurant.
Oh, so, it's always a struggle.
Chicken tikka masala, native hot.
You know what? We went to Kansas City on the drive home. There's a really good Indian place near the hotel we stayed. Gary and I stayed up on the way up, and we had chicken tikka masala. It was amazing. And if we would have gone there, Ty would have ordered. He would have asked for the kids menu, and do they have dinosaur-shaped chicken nuggets?
Oh,
so I'm just letting you know where we stand here. I really hope they're able to keep the convention there. And look, from what I'm reading between the lines, and I don't have any inside information, I'm just reading what Alex is writing. It looks like that this is going to be the case, and I'd be very happy to go back to Madison. I had a great time. I want to tell you, I got Gary to go this year. Gary went with me. Gary had a great time, and I laughed. Jim, there was a couple of nights when we were in that downstairs boardroom.
The aquarium. Call it the aquarium.
Yeah. I laughed so hard, at least on 2 occasions, I couldn't breathe. I was rolling on the ground. Well, one was the gray box, and that's all I'm going to say. The gray box joke was the joke that kept on giving. And
stop right there.
I know. But that was so, oh God, I have laughed so, and you could, Bill Meinhardt has a sense of humor, but it's rare that we were able to get him to where he was that night, where he was cracking jokes.
He was flustered. He was flustered and afraid, and that's awesome.
But yes, we had a great. I can rarely remember a convention where I laughed so hard as Game Hole this time. We had a good time. It's a great venue. If you
but
haven't
let's
been,
talk. But let's talk about the thing that we all came to realize. There's trouble in paradise. You know, it's not often that we get to see a love that blossoms and blooms before our eyes, that unites two souls in the influencer industry. Like a few years ago when Satine Phoenix and Jameson Stone famously tied the knot in front of, well, whatever the streaming audience
Had to bring
was,
it up.
and all the collateral damage, spectators at GaryCon. But lo and behold, it has come to this. It has come to this saddened eye. Hold on one moment. Oh, okay, there.
It's okay, Jim. You got friends here, Jim. You have friends.
We'll get you through it.
It's come to our attention that lo and behold, after their time in the wilderness, after they were exposed for the grifters that they were, that all is not well, and that divorce proceedings seem to be underway. And lo and behold, I believe that Satine has a new Instagram channel. It's filled with screenshots, not those screenshots, other screenshots. But
somewhat safe for work, yes.
But literally and truly, let us just pause for a moment at the splendor that was their relationship, the gifts that it gave us and will continue to give us. And
so they basically they both posted that they're getting divorced. Both Jameson and Satine have announced that they're getting divorced.
Oh, she found out about it.
And it's not a case of what was the Gwyneth Paltrow bullshit line? Consciously disconnected. Wasn't that it? Wasn't that the bullshit Gwyneth Paltrow line? No, these people are getting divorced. There is no love lost.
It ain't pretty, yeah.
She discovered his affair with Ginny D. So.
Listen, I don't want to idly speculate about the circumstances. I think we just simply move past and get to the end result, which is I look forward to the Gensu steak knife commercials late night. They're as sharp and pointy as my ears. They're great. Sorry.
Yeah, we found during the con we found both of their Instagram / TikTok / whatever the kids do. Whatever the kids are doing nowadays, and they both have not really sadly announced this, but joyfully announced they're moving on to the next level.
No, they haven't joyfully. These two people hate each other now.
But
they hate each other with the enmity and spite that only Oscar and Felix possessed.
But wait. This is the same Satine that when she announced that they were parting ways, talked so highly of the man who is now known as Light and not Lightyear.
Listen, these two are in a race to throw each other. I mean, literally, if you sit here, you can hear the thump thump as they toss each other under the bus, alternating.
And not only that, don't they still have the outstanding Kickstarter that nobody got paid and never?
Stop! Don't add to their litany of woes.
Why are you dwelling on the past, Eric? You need to look forward to the light that comes on and the light that rises in the east that shows that life still exists.
My God, I'm going to vomit. Stop.
But yeah, when you get a chance, look up their stuff, Eric.
Real quick, we forgot one thing. We were talking about people at the show and Bill Barsh. So Bill Barsh today on RPG Auctions on Facebook has launched a special edition of Beyond the Unknown, which is their sequel to Into the Unknown by Mike Carr, or B1.
Right.
And so if you are interested in getting one of these snazzy Holly Molly Throwdown Super Modius versions of Beyond the Unknown, you need to go on Facebook. You need to go to RPG Auctions and you need to look up his post and you need to say, I'm in. And then Bill will fix you up.
Hit me.
Bill, we talked because I will have a sequel edition to B1 coming out next year also at the convention called Beneath the Unknown. But
Beneath Bill Barsh.
We are oh hey, we're dealing with different aspects of B1. I'm dealing with mine actually takes place at under Quazcaton. Bill's is more about what happened to Rogon and Zelagar. not Rogan. Oh, isn't that sweet?
Yes.
Look at the meat in that love sandwich. The meat.
Yes,
the
I'm the
meat
extra
and
spicy
Oh.
filling.
Here, I'm going to say what everybody wants to say. Thank God they didn't breed.
that we know of.
No, Mike, it would be like a scene from Aliens. You know about it.
That's where Bat Boy came from.
Bat Boy?
Yeah, from
I know.
they're illegitimate offspring.
So on a tragic note about all of this, she's alleging physical abuse. He is, of course, staying silent but brooding. I got nothing.
If he could only still stay silent and brooding for a long, long time, I think the world would be a much better
You know,
place,
that's the problem with being an influencer. This is why I will never be an influencer, right? I had somebody say, Jim, you should do this and you should do this. And really and truly, I should not, right? I have no interest in fame or being an influencer. The moment I begin to influence things, I'll break my arm patting myself on the back, and I got nothing.
Well,
Nothing.
If the money's right. It's always if the money's right.
I didn't know there were WotC layoffs. I just
Did you see this? I thought Eric might fill us in. I figured he's up to date on
No,
this.
remember, I was traveling today.
Oh, well, this is more holiday layoffs because this seems to be an annual thing now with WotC. Is they're going to lay off a bunch of people right before the holidays, but they got an early jump on it this year. Apparently they're laying off people even before Halloween. So
now, hey, I thought N-World was a source of news. I don't see it on N-World.
Uh-oh. Dear me.
What does that say?
Well, maybe they're just laying off nobodies. I mean, because last year they laid off some pretty big names.
Right. I mean, I see that Chris Perkins was promoted.
You know, well, I mean, yeah.
Corporate reorganization, more layoffs hit Wizards of the Coast.
Okay.
They
I don't think there's any
wait, here we go. Associate influencer manager Dixon Dubbo announced on Twitter he had been laid off as part of the reorganization.
How could they lay off Dixon? Who is it? Now, who's Dixon?
Well, apparently he was the associate influencer manager.
I lost Jim again. Jim, your sound keeps going out. Damn it.
Oh, no, he had sound.
Oh, wait, I lost Eric.
Yeah, we can hear it.
So this
it's
time
you,
it's
Mike.
me. Great.
It's you, Mike. Yes, it's you.
It's always you.
It's always Mike. And now Mike is silent. Okay.
I'm
gonna have to dig into this. Holy crap. I was distracted by the late night news that I stumbled across that WotC and Justin Lanasa, he who should not be named, came to some sort of agreement in their case and asked for their case to be dismissed.
We don't know that. All we know is that the case has been dismissed.
Well, they jointly requested that no attorney fees be awarded. So it sounds.
Again, we don't know anything beyond what was printed in the.
All right, true.
You can't speculate because speculation is like being an influencer. It's virtual and there's no.
I'm going to speculate. I'm going to speculate. There must have been there had to be a settlement here. There's no way. Look. WotC's probably ready to move on. You know, this is. What's the point anymore? This guy has nothing. They're not going to get anything out of a judgment. Everything's gone. The company's gone. The name's not being used anymore. It's just time for them just to sweep out the trash and they move on to the next project. And I think everything that needed to be done was done, which was there's no
what do you want to go away?
Yeah.
Let's just move. Yeah, and I think that at a certain point you do move on from a legal action that's been going on for years. You finally say, it's time to move on. And look, I think they proved their point, right? If you poke the bear is going to turn around and swipe you with the claw and just going to take your arm off, and it's not going to be happy.
Well,
happy
isn't
experience.
it like claw, bear hug, right?
Claw, bite, bear hug, bear scat on your forehead.
Well, I'm just thinking game terms from 1E.
Okay.
If those two claws hit, well, then the bear hug automatically hits.
Right.
So it's like,
it's that's an ignominious end to a really sad chapter in gaming history, unfortunately. But
True.
but it happened the way everybody said it was going to happen, and so the truck ran over the guy standing in the middle of the road, and then just kept on rolling. It's going to keep on rolling, even farther. So
I just come on, right? When will we be able to close the Justin Lanasa chapter of RPG history? This is a lot like the
Ken
Whitman
the
chapter
Whitman Chronicles.
of RPG history.
Witless Whitman.
Yeah.
Well, we got through it. We got past that. Hopefully, we'll get past this.
That's still like a whack-a-mole, though, with Whitman. It's still...
Every once in a while, he pops up with a get-rich-quick scheme that we have to.
Yeah, you shove him down with a pencil dice.
Use the pencil dice to stab him.
Get down!
Get back to your place. And, get back to your Walking Dead hole over there. Yeah.
He hasn't tried to invite himself on the Wednesday night live stream since Jim joined the team.
I think he got the. Yeah, I don't think Kim would relish being grilled by Jim. I think that would be a unique and humiliating experience for Mr. Whitman.
So let me speak to something, because that reminds me of something funny that happened. So somebody who manages an RPG collectibles group on Facebook, we had talked a month or two ago, and he said, "Hey, I would really be glad if you would come join the admin team." And I'm avoiding all names to sort of keep this where it should be. So lo and behold, this person, I saw this person over the weekend. We discussed it a little bit more, and on Monday. Sunday night, this person asked me to invited me to join the group. And then once I joined the group, invited me to the admin team. Now I already admin one very large role-playing group on Facebook. And it's pretty quiet for the most part, because we took out advertising. And once we took out advertising, things got normal. But my role is really, I'm the guy that's not going to, I'm not the guy you want to fight with, because I have no interest in fighting on Facebook. I just don't have time to argue with internet strangers. But he makes this announcement, and he says, by the way, welcome to the admin team, Jim Kitchen. Okay, great. But he then almost immediately receives a message from somebody that says, well, if you're going to have him in this group, I'm leaving.
Whoa.
Okay. And so he reaches out to me and says, do you know this person? And I'm like, well, the name's kind of familiar. Mm-hmm. But then he says, well, they also go by this. And I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. Is that this guy? And yeah. Okay. Well, what prior interactions have you had? So as I mentioned, I was on this other Facebook group, or I manage admin this other Facebook group. And lo and behold, 9 years ago, this guy posted in our group, somebody started a discussion about Pathfinder. Now, we've made jokes about Pathfinder. I'll still make jokes about Pathfinder, and I'll always make hernia jokes about Pathfinder. But this is what happened. So this person in the thread wandered into a thread and said, quote, Pathfinder players are idiots, and anybody who plays that game needs to be castrated.
Gosh, that's a little extreme. Hold on.
Now, to the credit, like the moderator who saw this, I'm sorry, he said anybody who wants to play Pathfinder are 5-year-old idiots, and anybody who wants to play the game needs to be castrated. Now, okay, like, to their credit, the moderator hid the comment and told this person, like, you can't say that. That's a terrible thing to say. Knock that off, blah, 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 blah. Only to have this person double down and be like, oh, yeah, freedom of speech, screw you, wah! And then went on their very small website and began trying to dox the moderators and admins.
Oh.
So I got involved, and I had a discussion with him, and he says, something to the effect of, I'm going to have to read this because this is 9-year-old Jim Kitchen, and this just tells you. He says, "Hey, I'm trying to come to some middle ground here." And I came back with, "There really isn't any middle ground here. You acted like a jerk in the thread. You pushed your agenda within the thread, and the moderator actioned you. You didn't like that, so you started to stir things up. Then the moderator, who had given you a chance, was finally pushed into taking stronger action. Here's the thing. The thread was just fine without you. And it went the way the original poster wanted it to. And in the long run, you and your contributions, in quotes, will not be missed. And now that you're out of the group, due to your own actions, you're lashing out like a child that can't get his own way. You're making posts on the internet about how awful a person the moderator is. You're trying to dox, blah, 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 blah." And I finally ended it with, "Take it off the website, or I'm going to go to my local police department," which at the time I was living in Minnesota. And boy, howdy, you don't want to cross Minnesota's cyber stalking laws. Trust me.
Nice.
And I said, you're starting to violate Minnesota's cyber stalking laws. They're some of the toughest in the country. And I'm going to go down to my local police department and swear out a peace order. Like, I was serious as a heart attack. Strangely enough, he dropped everything from the website. Why am I telling this long story? So after all this, I share this with the person who owns the group, and they say, "Right, anybody holding a grudge after 9 years, forget it. We won't miss him." Blah. I'm like, okay. But then I'm going through the group, and remember, 9 years ago, anybody that played Pathfinder was 5-year-old idiots, and they should be castrated. I can't tell you how much joy I found when I saw a post that he had made where he was getting rid of his Pathfinder book.
Oh.
Well, Jim, I'm going to have to take up for this gentleman because we can't assume he hasn't been castrated in the last 9 years. So
well, this is true. This could possibly be true, but I
really don't like Pathfinder, but that was so beautiful.
I don't think he's been castrated, but
so let me also back up. A number of years ago, I had for a nanosecond somebody in the hobby industry who did go too far. And I did have to go to my local police station, who reached out to the local police station where this person was. And they put, God love their hearts, they put 2 cruisers on his driveway and perp knocked on the door and stood in his living room. And when he denied that he had done anything, they began reading to him from the printouts that they had of everything that I had sent them. And they made it real clear that you can knock this off, or we're coming back and we're going to see the old man in jail. And just because you're a crank on the internet doesn't mean you're untouchable. And I say that because really and truly, anybody who watches this show, you deserve to have people treat you nicely. You deserve to have some modicum of respect. You deserve, like, I have no time for internet bullies. I just never have. I never will. And truthfully, nobody deserves that. You know, I am the owner of a 18,000 plus member RPG group on Facebook. And over the years, I've lost a lot of moderators who just burn out over a while. But at the same time, what moderators need to know, and what people who are on the other side need to know, is that we're human too, right? I have always tried to be fair. I've always tried to be charitable. I've always tried to understand when people have a bad day. But when you go out of your way to just demonstrate that you're a peckerhead, the one thing that Facebook has taught me, you get one chance. And if you show me that you're an internet peckerhead, you're not getting a second chance. I'm banning you, and I won't look back. And really and truly, our hobby has some loose screws here and there. And I am, again, charitable, but really the worst hard cases are few and far between. But when they show up, you have to respond accordingly, right? If I saw somebody doing something like this in real life, I don't care how long I'm going to be in jail. I'm going to come out swinging. And I could certainly end up on the ground, but by God, if I'm going down, I'm going to be chewing on your kneecap as I go, because by God, I won't stand for this bullshit, and neither should anybody else.
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
I don't blame you.
Yes. And truthfully, like the guy I ended up having to deal with 20 years ago, like like our son hadn't been born yet. My wife is pregnant. We're getting weird shit from are you ready for this? A weird model train guy. What the hell?
So it isn't just our section of the universe. It's all hobby sections and beyond.
And I think, but this goes back to my favorite story whatsoever about train spotting. So all hobbies are like this, right? It's not just our hobby. All hobbies are like this. You have people that become obsessed with their hobby, and it leads to what is absolutely my favorite weird all-time story. Train spotters are guys that keep a notebook of every train that they've ever seen. They look for the engines in particular. Rail cars are too hard, but there's also specialty equipment, right? Cranes and so on and so forth. And this leads to the worst, funniest story ever, which was there was a train crash in Japan. And when they had the train crash, the crash site investigators discovered that somebody has damaged the track, which caused the accident. And everybody sees two guys near the accident, and they see them before the accident and after the accident. And when they get to questioning them, they break. And it finally turns out that what it is that these two guys had pretty much locked down every piece of equipment you could train spot in Japan, except for one thing: the recovery crane car for an accident.
Oh my God.
So what they did is they sabotaged the track to get that vehicle out so that they could complete their books and be done.
God.
And so come on, right? Like every hobby has these people, right? This is what turned me off of model railroading in a big way, is that when one guy starts making the mistakes he made, the first thing I did is I went to the police department in my local town, and God love their hearts, they took me seriously. They understood that I had a 7-month pregnant wife at home and who was losing sleep. Now, I will simply say, you don't want to break into my home. It's going to be an interesting choice of what I dispatch you with. It could be 19th century, it could be earlier, it could be later, but you ain't making it out. And when I talked to them, they were like, right. And my police department got involved. They got involved with the local Texas department, and they got guys in the local detectives, and the guys in Texas took it seriously. And when I got the call from the guy in Texas who said, I'm standing on his driveway, there's another officer looming over him in his own living room. He answered the door in his underpants, and we've had the conversation. He will not be bothering you again. Because when they showed up, they parked on the driveway with the lights on and absolutely put the dog and pony show on. They needed.
Oh yeah,
good. Because everybody's an internet badass until the police show up on your front porch and want to talk to you about.
I saw a YouTube video earlier a while ago where some guy, I forget, somewhere around this country, derailed a train just so he could get views on his YouTube channel.
That does not shock me in any way.
I just like that. I like these guys that go around and are irritating on camera to get the responses from people. And the guy who got shot in Texas, that warmed my heart. That really did warm my. Now I'm not sure that the guy in Texas was right to just shoot him.
But that's Texas.
That's what we do. Again, we shoot people sometimes, Jim. I mean, we've noticed. Sometimes we'll shoot a MFer, you know. Well, by the way, I did. I went to while Jim was telling the story. I did run to the car and get the Dynamaps. Nice. I had told Jim Sketch that I would definitely talk about them.
Yes, put the link up again, Eric. Put the link up again.
Bad boys up there.
Yeah, let me try to get it out of its. I haven't removed them yet. Let me get these out of their case so I can show you how cool they are. I like I said, I rarely look at a product and go, "Yep, want it," and don't. By the way, Jim Sketch, don't even bother selling me on it. I'm just going to buy it. So let me show you what these look like. They're just they're room things. But here's what's cool about them. They've got these. You just peel them off, and they've got these really interesting backs here, and they stick to anything, but they come right off too.
Oh,
stick,
they're a bit like code forms.
yes, and then you can do like for instance like this one doesn't have a door. You can put a door here, and here's what's cool. Look, it doesn't fall off. See, it's in there,
Oh, that's nice.
and then you just peel it off, and the so yeah, so like there's a door there. I just put a door in there, a room there. Now the other coolest thing is that you can use a dry erase. Use dry erase on these, and then just when you're through with it. And I just saw, I was like, I'm tired of writing on our mats and having to scrub those, and it smears everywhere, and it's a mess. And so I got this one. I got the hallways. There's a hallways one, and then this is doorways and different things. And Jim said they are planning on coming up with several of these. I'm going to probably buy all.
How's the like storage? You get
which is great. It's great because you could. I mean, this is the thing. Look, this is it. It's on. You could just keep it on the sheet of paper. We're not using it, and then just stick it in here, and it just and instead of like hauling around a bunch of boxes, I'm hauling around this now. And I could. What I probably will do in the future is buy more of these floor plans for the rooms. That way you can make bigger rooms or more rooms. But yeah, if I'm just going to do a little battle or something, that's perfect for doing my just putting that on the, and they stick really well to the to your pads you use. Yeah, I was very, very impressed. I highly recommend these. I bought them and I can't wait to use them for my group. So I'm gonna debut them next Saturday when we have our game day, not this Saturday but next Saturday.
Jim's got
Jim's looking good. Oh, hey.
Yes, Jeff Emery came to visit me, and while Jeff was here, I made sure to decorate his circumstances with all the appropriate Red Sonja posters.
As one will.
So yes, I have a number of Red Sonja posters that I'm not sure I'm going to be able to explain, but if I put them in my son's room, everybody will be happy.
Yeah, and then you have plausible deniability also. Because my son had all this. Look at her.
Because she's plush, and we'll leave it at that.
Wow.
No, don't. Hello, Red Sonja. Yes, I have a number of Red Sonja posters.
So you're right. Anyway, so they're called Dynamaps. Anybody interested?
Yes,
Dynamap. Yep, I was very impressed. I'm very seldomly impressed. Yeah. Oh, Gary says you can make a binder.
Jim's put notes.
They did.
Jim's put notes. The panel with the pieces are stuck to were designed at 8.5 by 11, so they'll slide into a standard sheet protector. Look at that.
I have rarely seen a project that is planned this well because they had answers to every single question anybody asked about these, and and it's true what Gary said too. You could have like a binder, 3-hole binder, and stick them in the little. So you could, like, let's say you wanted to buy 10 of these rooms, you could just have them all in that binder in different sheets and just pull them out. So, yeah, I'm look, at my age, I'm interested in downsize. That's why we don't use Dwarven Forge anymore. I really love Dwarven Forge. I love Stefan too. Love Dwarven Forge, but I just don't have any room for it anymore.
Yeah. I don't get much.
So this is very easy.
I could use those.
This is very easy to use, very compact. I was impressed because I'm looking to downsize all my stuff. I'd like to have, one giant pad to write, and then just have these to slap on there here and there. So, kudos to Jim and his family and his partner. I'm sorry, Jim, I didn't remember your partner's name. Kudos to them for thinking those up, and Mark. And I just think. Like I said, I think it's something almost anybody can use, especially if you're not running a game if you don't have a lot of space and you don't want to. One of the things too, think about when you travel. If you're a DM and you travel, you don't want to carry boxes and boxes of stuff. And I'm already bad enough. I got so many miniatures I got to carry. I don't want to carry a bunch of dungeon stuff too, dungeon dressing. So
you got to go down now.
Yeah, every convention you go to, there's always you're always going to have your guy that's selling a bunch of dice towers. You're going to have your guy selling a bunch of dice. You're going to have I thought a big player at this con was the portable dice bowl or whatever, where they flatten out, then you pop them up and you can roll your dice in them. So those are cool too, but you don't really need more than one or two of those. And so a lot of the stuff is I'm looking, I'm like, I got that. This is something cool that I didn't have. So I was really impressed by these. Paul Kelly, Jim says.
So I do want to throw one thing out real quick. I remember getting Dragon Magazine 45 was the first one on my subscription, and I must have worn out that insert with the graph paper and the clip out cardboard things. And when Jim Sketch first talked about this a couple of years ago, I mentioned that I thought that was a great idea, just not as well executed as it could have been. And Jim really took those ideas and ran with it, and I'm very impressed. This was my first chance of actually seeing the finished product, and big hats off to you, Sketch family. Well done.
Yep. Hopefully they can make it in North Texas this year too. I'd love to see them. I think they'd have a ball. Well, I think they'd have a ball. I think that's the kind of convention the Sketch
definitely
would.
I'll give them the Bad Mike booth money. How about that?
The Bad Mike booth money?
Well, what I usually
spend money so they can make money. We're gonna have to talk about this, Glenn. Okay. Wait a second. If it's money's coming out of my pocket, then we haven't. No, they deserve it. Like I said, they have a good product. It's
you get a certain amount earmarked every year, and I may toss it to him.
Yeah,
you don't need a lot of money, man.
If it happens, it happens. I mean, I had my day. I had my day. My day is done. Yeah.
No. I'm just pulling your leg.
The day of the Sketch has come.
You're going to be good to me next year. So I'm, it was just a joke.
Glenn is our multimedia special guest this year, which we're going to have one every year. Who's instead of some cons that have numerous amounts of streamers / influencers / internet personalities / nookie girls, we're only going to have one, and it's Glenn, and he fills all those positions in one. He is a streamer, influencer, or viewer, and a nookie girl. He's a nookie girl. All those, all in one. So yes, he will be our. He will be our media.
I don't agree with the nookie girl part. I mean,
hey, did you tell what you're doing Sunday?
Oh yeah, let's hear what you're doing Sunday.
Oh, that's right. I'm going to be on Thaco's Hammer on Sunday. We're going to record it.
You're inviting Eric on there, but I've never been invited back. One of the original hosts of Thaco's Hammer who had a
router issue that never.
Anyway. I have a different router now. That was 10 years ago.
All right, fine. We can do that. It's just, I think Full On's going to be out this Sunday, and I called Brian. So why don't we do it with him?
Well, Eric is playing 2E these days, right, Eric? So I guess that makes sense.
No, I am actually.
Although I've never not been playing 2E, but let's let Eric have it.
We'll just call him Full On Gamer. Nobody will know the difference.
Hey, Eric, you made an announcement today about a new show you're doing. Is there anything you can add to that or tell us?
No, I can't. Can't.
NDA?
Not an NDA.
You don't have an NDA. Come on.
I don't have an NDA. I have a verbal agreement not to announce it before the official announcement. But I was allowed to tease it, so I teased it.
But you're gonna add to your 8 days a week of broadcasting.
Listen, I'm the forgotten Beatle. Okay, I'm just gonna 8 days a week.
The forgotten Beatle.
But this is only one. This is only 1 day a month, though, right?
One day a month.
What does that make me, Pete Best?
Well, you're the unforgotten Beatle.
Mm-hmm. Actually, now I think I might know what this is, Eric. Never mind. I won't ask you anymore. If it's what I think it is, it's going to be kind of interesting. So
I think so too.
It sounds fascinating, actually.
Yeah. So it should be fun.
Yeah, that is I mean, you're getting older and you're taking on more responsibility. That's not how it's supposed to go, Eric.
I'm glad to see him expand out of the, Tenkar's Tavern sphere into the other
spheres?
And the other
OnlyFans?
Yeah,
OnlyFans.
Jim, you beat me to that by 1 second. You beat me by 1 second.
Not that sphere.
You're throwing those softballs. Jim and I are gonna hit those out of the park.
I saw you on Tinder.
Hey.
No. Okay, first of all, it wasn't Tinder, it was Grindr. And it was only for a weekend, and then Eric got straight with the Lord and everything.
Oh, hey!
Yeah,
Going
it was a rough,
dangerous territory.
it was a rough time. The Mets had just lost, and they weren't going
I'm,
to the World
you
Series.
know
And
what? I'm not a Mets fan. I know I live in Queens. I'm not a Mets
I
fan.
thought you were a Mets fan. Oh no, you're a
I'm
Jets fan. You're not a Mets.
I'm a
You're a
Jets
Yankee
fan.
fan. Okay.
I listen. Gangrene is what they've been, but yes, I am. I'm a Jets fan. I'm a Yankees fan. Okay.
Well, it's going to be the classic clash this year: Dodgers versus
Well,
Yankees.
here's what's so funny about this classic clash, Glenn. I had forgotten the last time they met was 1981. I graduated high school.
Wow.
It has been
Yeah.
40 long years since these two have met in the World Series, and I honestly I would have thought it's been 2 or 3 times since then, but it has not. They
Oh no,
they have
no!
not met in the
And
World
you know
Series since
what?
1981.
You know what? In Oklahoma
What?
City,
Mhm.
the minor league team is the Dodgers. That's their farm team.
Oh, see, okay.
Yeah, the little bums.
The little bums. The pequeño
Used
bums.
Used to be the Blackhawks, and then the Dodgers bought them for a farm team.
Well, all the baseball aficionados will be happy with this classic
That's
Yankees. As I yawn my way to pass that to pro football, I've already given away.
Listen,
Well, they don't have the Cubbies anymore.
I think does Dallas have more wins than the 2 New York teams combined?
I refuse to discuss the Dallas Cowboys under advice of my attorney Ty Beard, because violence may result. I refuse to discuss.
It will be violence from Jerry Rice. That's what will be.
Jerry Jones. You mean Jerry Jones? I wish Jerry Rice owned our team, but no, it's Jerry Rice.
Even at his age,
Jerry
yeah.
Jones. Oh,
But
yeah.
I told Eric that there's a barbershop in Oklahoma City that I used to go to called the Bedlam Barbershop. And it was like 20 chairs, 10 on one side, 10 on the other. 10 was painted on OU. The other 10 was painted in OSU.
Oh,
I wanted to get a shave, and they crossed it out and says, "Well, what's the matter? Oh, well, we can't find anybody who does a good shave." Says, "Oh, I figured maybe a Texas A&M fan might have wandered off and they cut his throat."
Man, it took a dark turn.
Wow.
Just a wee bit of a dark turn.
Jesus.
So Marcelo said out of the blue question, and Jim probably has some insight on this too. What was the story of Fritz Lieber? So Fritz Lieber, the Pirate Queen, is Gygax was right. So Fritz Lieber was infatuated with Mary Gygax, who, if you look at pictures back then, was quite a beautiful woman, extremely beautiful woman. He was absolutely infatuated with her, and would write her private messages and called her the Pirate Queen. That's
Hold on. Number one, he sent her letters. There was no private messaging. He sent her letters. And she corresponded with him.
Right. Yeah, there wasn't internet back then. There was no
and let's rewind a little bit. Fritz was well known for being the ladies' man at conventions.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
and Horndogus Giganticus comes close. I mean, and so yeah, I all of this is just I don't even feel comfortable talking about. And I'll tell you why. Because what was between Mary Gygax and Fritz Lieber, sorry. I think that's very personal. And Mary's not dead. Fritz is dead. Mary's not dead.
Well, and there's nothing to say that he just admired her, and she, corresponded. There wasn't like there was anything going on there. It was just that that was just somebody that he, for whatever reason, was infatuated with. Sent her many letters, and I've heard from Luke that she was just amused by it. She thought it was she was amused by the fact that somebody that was as famous as Fritz, was just struck by her so much, but. So that's where that's all that is. That's where it comes from. And so that was his nickname for her, the Pirate Queen. And so they did a great poster for that a couple years ago at Gary Cott. I thought it was amazing.
Charles Urbach did an amazing painting.
Yep.
Amazing painting.
That's all. That's where that is. It doesn't go down any other rabbit holes than that. It's just something that
That's too bad.
As Jim said, it's just something that just kind of a funny little thing. By the way. For those that don't know, Fritz and his co-author of the Fafford Gray Mouse, or Harry Fisher, were actually guests at the Gen Con that happened at the Playboy Club. Oddly enough, Oddly enough, for Horn Dog Fritz, he was at the Playboy Club with the.
He was
when
in
it
his
was in
element.
its. Yep, when it was Buddy Days, back in the Buddy Days.
In the bunny days. Yes.
So that's a bullet point. And it's sadly, as Bill will tell you the story, that was the one Gen Con he did not get to go to because parents would not. Bill Meinhardt, his parents would not let him go to the Playboy Cup because I believe he was only 15.
He was on the way, and just as he was leaving, they like chopped him off at the knees.
Now, where's this at?
Here's the phone number.
The Playboy Club? No, you're not going.
Listen, my parents are in their 80s. I'm 57. I go to convention. The first thing my mother goes to me is, "What's the phone number of where you're staying at?" And it's like, I got a cell phone. You're gonna call the cell
The
phone
phone number.
in an emergency.
Sheraton, is there an Eric Steiny here?
Yeah.
Can somebody find Eric? His parents are on line 1. They want to talk to him.
Come on. They've never needed it. Again,
Yeah.
cell phones. It goes with you everywhere. A lot of people don't even have home phone numbers anymore.
Yeah, it's not a lot of reason to have it unless unless you have to have it. There's not a lot of reason to have a home phone anymore.
I was shocked to stay at Jason's house this weekend, and he actually has a landline.
Oh God! Please stop talking about the Cowboys in the chat, folks. This is just making me sad.
Don't do it.
Let's not. You know what? Let's talk about the Mavericks. No, let's just don't talk about sports. How about that? How about we just?
Well, hey, it's Mike. It's time.
No, we're not doing movies. We're not doing movies.
Oh,
I'm showing my new.
You know who else loves? You know who else loves classic movies? A guy named Jim Kitchen.
I love classic movies.
There we go. Sorry, Eric. You're outvoted, Eric. You are absolutely outvoted.
What are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about Casablanca and why everybody ought to watch it at least once a month.
My favorite movie of all time.
Look at that.
Love the movie. Oh my God.
Look at that. There you go, Mike. That's just for you. Universal horror.
Did you send me a nude? No. What?
No, it closed. You weren't watching.
Oh, okay. Oh, I wasn't watching.
Okay, I'm done with the movies. Never mind.
All right. Well, then we move on from it. Well, Eric, what do you got? What are you guys going to do up in the Poconos? Give us a breakdown of your next few days.
Oh, we're going to tomorrow is going to be
shopping
and sightseeing, getting a few of the landmarks down.
Gotta get something for Becky.
And we called in reservations at a nice Italian restaurant for dinner tomorrow, and then Friday will, at the very least, is going to be hitting the farmers market and probably a few other locations.
Mm-hmm.
Saturday may be a historic train ride on the store. We're going to see what we can do, but on the Stourbridge line, which is the first rail tracks laid out in the U.S. and the first locomotive ran on this, was imported from England. Wow. It's also known as the Gravity Railroad because before they had a locomotive, it was mules pulling it up and gravity taking it back.
Wow. Okay, that's cool. That's old school.
Did you see the picture of me at the Port Authority bus depot?
Yes.
Yeah.
Guess what? Go ahead. I'm going. My wife and I are going as Ralphie and his wife to a Halloween party this weekend.
Oh, nice! You got to shave.
Yep. I got my costume all ready to go. I haven't tried it on yet, but I'm going.
Well, yeah, Mike, you gonna shave?
I don't know. I'm trying to think about. I need to watch a couple of Honeymooners episodes before I go.
He's clean shaven, sir. I can tell you that.
Yeah. Yeah, my wife will let me won't let me say "pow" to the moon though. She said that is no bueno in the 21st century of.
And I actually showed him the Red Green Show, and he liked it.
Yes, the Red Green Show was good. I gotta say.
Never seen the Red Green Show?
I never seen the Red Green Show. No, I never seen it.
I got the entire series waiting for me when I get home.
So
that's pretty. It's a pretty funny. It's pretty funny stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna keep Glenn entertained. Hopefully a lot of photos. He better be sending a lot of photos back to his family and posting them on
Becky's
Facebook.
rules.
You know, so
Well, remember to.
she's a photo person.
Is there what's that? Isn't there a? Is there any the Borscht Belt hotels still open? You need to. You should tour some
I
of the.
think they're all closed.
Nah, nothing in this area. There's a haunted hotel in town, but that's where we're going to be having our dinner tomorrow. They got a great Italian
Really?
restaurant. Yeah,
We're going to be in a haunted hotel.
it's a haunt.
Well, that's
Yeah,
going to be interesting.
yeah, but
Very interesting.
so
You know, that's
Well-
all of this is worth putting up with.
Yeah.
His dog.
yeah. Oh,
So-
well, Donka's infatuated with him.
Of
10-year-old
course.
Jackson's like, oh, people come this big.
He's bigger than a mountain. I'm in love. Yes, little dogs love huge people. It's weird.
Hey.
A skinny mountain.
So I should probably wrap this up. Thanks to Glenn. Glenn may be appearing on another live or two this week.
And don't forget Radio
grab-
Grognard and Pickles Hammer.
Zach's Hammer. I'll be doing a recording on Sunday, and let's see. Next live stream's tomorrow night with the vlog and many things.
with the boys.
I'm quite sure it's going to be related to recent events with TSR and such.
Mhm.
And other than that, Mike, thank you. Jim, thank you.
Watch more movies.
The live stream was very. Again, I love this embedded chat. It really makes you all talk more. So
Part of the
think I
show.
like- I think I like
yeah.
this. Yeah,
yeah,
I think I
Well-
do like the new chat. So yes.
yeah. It's a great. The stream works out great for this. So, folks, as always, be safe, be well. God bless. World is nice. Roll them well.